This is gonna be like the shortest live stream ever if I can't eventually hear myself talk. All right. There it is. Oh my goodness. That was a nightmare. All right. I need like a lots of thumbs up if the sound is working. Sound working. Sound working. Sound working. Sound working. All right. What's up, y'all? Yes, I'm tearing it down, Josh. Thank goodness for audio here. Hopefully one of my boys, one of my wrenches comes in to take care of any type of trolls going on. Question number 1, baby tears or pearlweed? Aren't they pretty much the same thing? Dwarf baby tears and pearlweed. I think they're pretty much the same thing, but pearlweed for sure. Turbofish, Aqua Apprentice, Josh, J Cruz, Hustle Chloral Vlogs, Deteo Godville, Mark's Ark Aquariums, Carson Volker, John Penguin, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Orange Fish, Colored Fish. Loud and clear from here. All right. Thank you for coming on. I just wanted to do a quick live stream and kind of go over what's going on with this tank. I don't know if you noticed, but the giant Blixa bush is gone. Completely pulled that right out of the tank. Took me like an hour. There was so many. Like if you could sell Blixa for $1, I probably would have made like $5,000. But that was the first part. Huge 50% water change. Not to mention plucked a ton of Anubias out, a ton of like just Java moss, just plants just taking over everywhere. And then, that builds up and kicks off a whole lot of gunk. So you got to gravel vac that out and just over and over and over again. But what I did find out removing the Blixer is, where are we here? Right there. I have these crypts sent off runners all the way down the back that I barely even saw because the Blixer was going out of control. So, Turbofish just picked up the Fluval 15-watt 75K lighting Crypt Life, or I could push it to something better. I don't know. I don't really run any Fluval lights, so I don't really know how good the Fluval 15 watts are. 75K though, that's like right in between. Usually you want above 65, but right around 10K or below. I'll be making a video on my freshwater tank real soon. Sounds good. Hustle Coral Vlogs. Oh, I wish you did. I ripped down so much of it and completely just dismantled this whole tank today. I mean, there was just crap everywhere. As you can see, it's still like super, super cloudy. The light is just reflecting on all the crap that's floating around, but the canister should pick that up nice pretty soon. It's only been like 2 hours, but just the roots on the Blixa were like this long, and I gave it all away. I gave it all to my friends around here. Are you on a Facebook page, John? Because you can always get me there. That'd be good. That's Slim Tim sending me crazy messages here. Oh, yeah, John, I'm ready. You got to mourn football for a little while because football I absolutely love. But, it's baseball time. Red Sox are happening. Team looks pretty good. Once again, we're going to have to put up with the Yankees and the Indians, but who knows? See what happens this year. Is the only way to get rid of my green hair algae CO2? No. You can cut down on your lighting and you can take a toothbrush and just like start wrapping it up. And as you brush it, just twirl the toothbrush and it gets all caught up in it. And then you just need to always cut back. Like algae is a production of too much light, too much nutrients, and you just the plants can't take in what you're giving them, so their algae is coming on. But yeah, you can manually remove it with a toothbrush. I've done it. Oh yeah, the Bruins are kicking butt as well. Yeah, hydrogen peroxide does kill a lot of different algae. I've mainly only used it for blackbeard algae, and I actually mix hydrogen peroxide 3% with Excel, half and half, 50-50 mix, and that turns that blackbeard algae into purple gray grossness in a day, and then it's gone the next day. It's awesome. I love that stuff. Yes, but I am going to be tearing down this tank slowly, one bit at a time. I need to get another freshwater tank running to house these fish, because I like all the fish in here, so I don't want to like give them away. I want them to go in the next tank. So I'm going to get a small, maybe 20 long tank going and get that cycled and get these fish in here so I can slowly take down this tank and just restart fresh, like fresh new planted tank, new scape, maybe a lot of hardscape and a lot of driftwood and not a lot of plants, or maybe a carpet, or who knows. When the tank looks bare, then I'll know exactly what I'm going to do with it. But I think it's time to start fresh, start new. Excel melts Val a lot. You have to like dose droplets at a time if you have Val until they've almost built up a tolerance, and it helps if you have a big tank because the water volume is more, so it's even more diluted. I had good success with it in my 75. When I started dosing my 29 years ago with Excel, every jungle Val I had just melted away like that, and it never came back. Yeah, when Blackbeard runs wild in your tank, it's like nearly impossible to get rid of. Pretty much like it's more of a pain to get rid of it than it is just to start over. How can I get rid of my diatom algae causing a mess in my tank? Excess nutrients, so you got to cut down on your feeding. You can brush it off with your hand or a brush and make sure there's lots of flow in the area. When you have dead spots in your aquarium where just the flow of the whole tank just is going everywhere, but there's a few dead spots in parts of your aquarium, that's where a lot of algae and especially brown diatoms will settle. And then you can always get like some autocats, but they're wild caught and they never really do good. If you buy like 10, maybe you get like 5 to survive. And then you're just, you're not really solving the problem. You're just getting something to eat your problem. Dip my wood in water with peroxide and it kills it, but it just comes back. Yeah. Throw the wood out. I mean, Blackbeard, Alex, seriously is a nightmare. I've managed to rid my tank almost completely. I want to say almost because it's like 99% complete, but every once in a while you go around, you see a little tiny tuft, and you have to pull that immediately. And then occasionally I spot treat with hydrogen peroxide, 50% hydrogen peroxide, 3%, 50% Excel. And that seems to get rid of it really, really quick. I mean, I have SAEs in here, and they don't touch nothing. They're like just, it was a waste of a fish. There's 5 of them in here, and all they do is, ever since they were tiny, is just eat flake. Like, no matter how little I feed them, they just always go for the flake. They never touch the algae. I'll be happy to get rid of those guys. Narite snails, yep, those are good too. Some people say I should have a few more months before any coral. Could I get away with some croft coral? But I'm assuming it's, yeah, there you go, soft coral. Yeah, if your tank is cycled, put coral in there. Just don't overstock your tank with corals like all at once. So like say I have a Fluval Evo 13.5 gallon. I put 3 or 4 corals in, then I waited a week, put 3 or 4 more corals in, waited a week, maybe put 3 or 4 more, then waited a week. You don't just want to put like 20 corals in your tank all at once. It's just going to throw everything out of whack. Just like you add fish slowly to your tank so that you don't get ammonia spikes and all sorts of crazy problems, just the same thing. Add corals slowly to your tank, here and there. What's the best natural wood for New World cichlid tanks and why? I have Mopani, your thoughts. New World cichlid tanks. All right. You're going to have to explain the New World cichlid. Was there an Old World cichlid? Is it New World African cichlids? South American cichlids? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Yeah. Alex, if you're talking about the blackbeard algae, it doesn't matter how many plants you have growing. Once it's in your tank, I'm telling you, it's near impossible to get rid of unless you just wipe your tank out. And then at that point, I would pull everything out, bleach the tank, vinegar, whatever, and start fresh with all new everything. Like I said, I've gotten rid of mine for a long time now, but it's still there. Like, it's in places. And then, like, if you just leave your tank alone for like a month and don't even look at it, then you'll be surprised at how many more places it's in. So you're never going to get rid of it. Yeah, I've never actually owned those, but I know a lot of people that have owned them. I love Bacopa. I am a big fan of Bacopa. This tank, I'm actually thinking about just putting like a really nutrient-rich substrate and just carpeting the whole thing, running off the CO2, and as opposed to like a rockscape, I'll just do driftwoodscape. That's like all driftwood, but no plants that wrap around the driftwood. No flowy plants, no mosses, just the driftwood is the driftwood, the carpet is the carpet, and do like a lot of like really tiny fish or shrimp, like not even like rummy nose tetra. Like, I'm talking the smallest fish that you can imagine, and just like one big giant school of them, and then shrimp, and let them just go to town all day long. That'll be cool, and have that for like a year, and then do something else. It's just fun setting up tanks. And then watching them mature, watching, taking care of it, doing what you do, and then you can move on to the next one. Kevos Fish and Reptile says he's having problems keeping Bacopa planted in the sand substrate. I even have little river rocks around it. You can use those lead, or I don't know what they're made of now, those little weights, until the roots from that stem will go down and establish themselves in the gravel. And then eventually, once the plant starts to really get healthy, you can take that off once the roots are established. Root tabs help, any type of nutrients you can get in the substrate, because most plants are root feeders. And if that substrate isn't like too compact, it's a little bit aerated and it's packed with nutrients, those plants will thrive, trust me. Hey, Dank Tanks. I love rummy nose. This whole tank has rummy nose. One of my favorite fish of all time, but even those small fish are too big for what I was thinking of next. I don't even know, like, I'm talking even smaller than those. Yeah, root tabs. I use root tabs in this tank because the sand is inert. It doesn't have anything that the plants need, so they're going to die if I don't feed the roots. So I just use root tabs, which we sell at my Aquarium Box. My Aquarium Box, go check them out. Shop.myaquariumbox.com. Get your root tabs there. We make giant bags of them for everybody, and I use them in this tank. If you saw the Blixa that was like the size of 10 bowling balls. Oh yeah, Severums, if those get big, and I mean, they'll destroy a planted tank. Don't I have some giant tank locked in the basement? No, it's in the garage, actually. What's up, Gregory? Hey, there's a wrench, my boy Greg. Tank is almost cleared up. I pulled out tons and tons and tons of it. Almost there. A little bit of rescaping. Can I talk about hardness of the water and the plants? I don't test my tanks. Sorry, I cannot. I know some plants prefer hard water. Some plants prefer soft water. You can soften the water. You can harden the water. African cichlids, South American cichlids, like all the water primers are different. I keep fish that my water can keep, and I honestly, I've never tested the hardness of my water ever. No, Josh, it's not a sponsored tank gone wrong. It's a tank that I have yet to had time to set up, and I can't wait to set it up. I just need a place to put it, electricity hooked up, lights, pumps, the works. And so it's just a slow process. And I have enough to do right now with all my tanks. Hello, all. Hope you're having a great day tonight. I have a question. What's the best thing to do with my fry from American cichlids? Leave them with the parents or keep them in a breeder box? Leave them. They're probably just all going back in the mouth anyway, if it's American cichlids, right? Let the parents take care of them. Or, I mean, if you're going to put them in a breeder box, then you're going to have to take care of those or sell them or be able to take care of them long enough to sell them or give them away, whatever you plan on doing. Otherwise, I just leave them with the mother. What survives, survives. How long after new substrate should you start using root traps? If the substrate is inert, like gravel or sand, it's not like an aqua soil. I put them in right around the plants, and then every 2 or 3 months, I put them back. I put more in. Huge fan of Petco white or black sand. It's actually little plastic bits. Was leery at first. Roots move through it like butter, and it's all I will use moving. Oh, well, that's pretty good. I'll have to check that stuff out. What's up, Mitch? What's up, J-Dub? Getting close to 600 subscribers. Hopefully getting a large tank when I hit 1,000. Good for you, buddy. Every number is hard to hit. I don't care how many subscribers you are or you have. Hit that first 50, then that first 100, then you can't wait to get to 500. Like every single time is just, you got to keep grinding, keep making good videos, keep trying to make good videos anyway. And then people find out and they watch and they're entertained and they'll keep coming back. Share your videos, hit the thumbs up, hit the like. I just wanted to come on real quick before the 10 o'clock hour and just give a quick update. I was going to shoot a video, but it's actually easier just to come on live and then I get to chat with you guys, see what's everybody's doing on a Sunday night. Hey, Jamie, how's it going? Puppy's doing great. Huckleberry Finley is doing great. He actually just came back in. I don't know where he is. He's giant. He's like 80, probably 80 pounds now. 8 months, 80 pounds. Yes, I've used fluorite before. I don't mind fluorite. Viola's watching Walking Dead. Yep, I was watching Walking Dead, but my wife's working tonight, so we will be watching that Tuesday night because she's working tomorrow night as well. Love The Walking Dead. Actually, this year kind of sucks, but I do love watching it. So if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer questions. When's the pond going in? As soon as you put it in, Greg. I would love the pond. I want a bass pond that I can fish in. Z Nation is filmed 30 minutes from me, always on the lookout for zombies. Yep. You get those, what do you call them? Stand-ins. They get loose. They hit the bar right down the street from your house. All of a sudden, they're all walking crazy. Still got their makeup on. Job done. And hopefully I can get in touch with Flip or someone that has good shrimp and fill the tank with like some really cool shrimp. I've always wanted to do a shrimp tank. I've always wanted to keep fish that won't eat shrimp, because most of the time, any time I put shrimp in the tank, if they're not big enough, they don't last. There's always a fish in my tank that I catch eating a shrimp, no matter who it is. Tiniest fish. And not just like the molting of the shrimp, like the actual shrimp itself. What do I like more, saltwater or freshwater tanks? I don't know. I like them both equally, I guess. I guess a little bit more right now favored, so let's go like 55-45 saltwater. Just because it's really fun to just learn about it and dive into it. I mean, I've had planted tanks since I was a kid, and it's not like when I was a kid I knew how to aquascape, but I still like to grow the plants in the tanks. But now I love looking at saltwater tanks. They're very relaxing, just like planted tanks can be. But I find with my saltwater tanks, while people might think it's harder, like when you do a water change, you're taking out water and you're putting in salt water. And it's maybe tough to get the tank established, but like with planted tanks, you have to clip things and vacuum all the waste and the substrate, and then plants overgrow, and then everything's just like a mess all the time. You're constantly trimming and propagating and trimming and just throwing away plants. Everything just grows. With saltwater, everything is grown at a more slow pace, which I don't mind, and nothing gets out of hand where you have to like start getting in there all the time. It's really just a water change and enjoy. Water change and enjoy. Some things might go wrong, but you need to correct those, couple titches up or down. If am I doing too much water or too big of a water change, and my lights on too long? Are they too bright? But once you get everything dialed in, it's just kind of sit back and relax. And everybody says, yeah, it's way more expensive, but sometimes it's more rewarding. Planted tanks, you can just let go for a while and they get out of control, and then you can go back and trim them the way you want them to look, and they're easy to take care of. So I don't know. I like them both. Pros and cons to both. I've never owned a blood parrot. Saltwater tanks are just as easy or hard as freshwater tanks. It's how you make them. If you want to do things the easy way, you can certainly make that happen. That's the way I like to do them. And you can certainly have great tanks doing it that way. Or you can make them hard. Make it hard on yourself. Just don't care about them. Leave the lights on. Don't have timers. And then everything becomes hard because you're not paying attention and trying to keep a balanced tank. Jamie says she's getting ready for the storm. So am I. Great. Yes, can't wait for 12 inches of snow Monday again. Yay. It's almost April. Brian, no. Greg will be. My Aquarium Box does have a booth at NEC next weekend, and Greg will be there. He's always there. He is 24/7 my aquarium box, and he loves it. And dilly dilly to Greg. I love you, buddy. I know how much work you do. Cheers to Greg Jones, everybody. He's the man. My next build will be low maintenance saltwater with the canister. I would be careful. Oh boy, freshwater. I think a canister may be good to just house like a bunch of rubble in there, but if you're gonna start putting all your media and sponges in that, it's gonna be an absolute nightmare, in my opinion. Hang on back way easier, or sump for that matter. Best time to add fish, before or after a water change? I like to add fish at night or when the lights are off, like so during the day or during the night. What's up, Slash Master? When there's no light and they can get acclimatized to the water, I don't drip acclimate, I don't quarantine, and then I put them in a bucket and I scoop them out with a net into my hand and then put them in the tank with no lights. And whether or not I'm doing a water change, it doesn't matter. It could be that day, it could be a week. I don't care. I mean, I guess it's best to not stress them out. So I'm not going to dump them in the tank and then do a water change 5 minutes later. But, you know, if you put them in at 12 in the afternoon, you're doing a water change at 8 at night, you know, they're there. Huckleberry's over here by the door, wanting to know why he can't come in. What's my favorite substrate recommended for a beginner? Honestly, just do whatever you want, whatever kind of substrate you want. Sand, gravel, and then if you want to grow live plants, put root tabs in that sand or the gravel. If you know you're going to grow live plants and you want to try to do more difficult plants, you can go with an aqua soil or just real dirt, you know, organic dirt, and cap it with a thick layer of gravel and give your plants all the nutrients they want. And some, if you're overlighting or underlighting, like there's so many variables, but for a beginner, I guess I would just go with gravel. And then if you want to start live plants, you can just stick root tabs right where you plant your plants, and that will feed them for enough time and get low light plants, get Anubias, you know, Java fern, any type of moss, jungle val, bacopa, you know, blixa, dwarf sage, crips, like they're all can be grown on low light as long as their roots are fed. 100%. No problem. Marine Pure, I've never used Marine Pure. Are you talking about Chemi Pure? But I've never heard of Marine Pure. Greg, looks like Greg has one fan going to NEC. Perfect. You're all set, Gregory. Greg was over today at the house. Harry Krishna in the house. Yeah, pharmacy. What's good, Mike? What's up, Harry Krishna? Greg was in the house today. We're doing my Aquarium Box end of year stuff. Let's just call it that. It's riveting. It's great, like 2.5 hours. Awesome. It's real nice you're able to concentrate on the business with like kids running around and dogs jumping on Greg, and yeah, that's just fun. Fun. Yeah, Jake, do you fertilize? Harish Karanakaran is in the house, aka Harry K from the other night's live stream. Sorry, Harish. I'm just busting on you, man. 35 people watching. Hit the like, hit the share. A few more minutes of questions, and then I'm calling it a night. I got stuff to do. Just wanted to give you the info on the tank that I will be taking down. No reason whatsoever besides I'm just bored. Although I do have to say, maybe I'll wait a few weeks because Justin from H2O Plants, if you guys don't know him, I would go check out H2O Plants. He's a good guy. I asked him to send me a couple crinums, and he did, along with a bunch of other stuff. For free, he sent me, it looks like a dwarf lily. I don't know, excuse me. I don't think it's a tiger lotus. Looks like a dwarf lily, beautiful dwarf lily. Couple types of crinums. Crinum cal, which is my favorite. He sent me, I'm horrible with the name of plants, but he sent me a few other broadleaf plants that are in this tank right now. They're in the back, chilling. I'm hoping the crinum. I was hoping that the crinum would just like flow along the top, and I get rid of the hellfiery and the crypts, and just let that crinum go crazy, because that's just a gorgeous, gorgeous plant. Either way, I will be keeping those plants, especially the crinum cal. I had one in my 75 for a couple years, and it was literally my favorite plant ever to grow. The way it just, beautiful, beautiful plant. Twirly, twirly, hard, broadleaf plant, and it's just, everyone it sends off is just really strong, and they just keep going and going and going and going, and they're heavy enough that they don't get sucked into any type of power head, but they're light enough to flow in the tank. So they make a great plant that flows all the way across the tank. Any type of crinum. Dustin's got a giant Natan that he's had in his big 200 or 220 forever. What's Greg? Aqua Clear. I'm sure he meant to say HOB filters are rock solid. Yeah, those are my favorite filters, and I use them so many times before even I had a sponsor. Those Aqua Clear filters run and run and run, and they don't stop running, and they're quiet, and they're just a big empty box with a huge tray that you can put whatever you want in there. You know, sponges, chemipures, purigens, polyfilter, filter pads. Like, they're just really, really heavy duty space to add whatever you want. Not these crazy like slide-in cartridges that, like, if you don't want those cartridges, well, then you're screwed because you can't do anything else in that filter. Like, these are really, really awesome filters. I've used them for years and years and years on all my tanks. I prefer hang on back or a canister filter. You know, I prefer a canister filter for planted tanks, but I run both. And I've yet to dive into the sump world of saltwater. You know, I'd love to. I think sumps are probably extremely efficient because they carry a high volume of water, and they're right there, so they're super easy to clean and just move stuff wherever you want it. But I am a huge fan of hang on back filters. Love the Aqua Clear 70, and I would say anything above a 40 gallon and Aqua Clear 110 is sufficient. On a 75 gallon or higher, 2 Aqua Clear 110s, or just go with a big canister filter. But you can get away with having a big saltwater tank running on hang on back filters. I mean, I've proven it. You know, even if my tank was 80 gallons and not 40 gallons, I could run 2 filters and the water volume would be better. But, you know, I'd love a sump, but I really love those Aqua Clear filters. Awesome filters. Where's Huck? Haven't seen him. He's literally right there. Right there. He's laying right there on the floor. Huckleberry Finley is the man. Will carbon or ChemiPure remove ferts? If so, besides water changes, what can I do to remove tannins from my water? Tannins, you just, you know, they'll run out. Run some filter floss. Do your water changes. I like tannins in the water, personally. because they eventually go away, and then you kind of get used to them, and you like the way they look, and then they're gone. So they will go away eventually. Like, for example, high-end Kessel, AI, Ecotech, medium, current, blah, 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 blah. What are you asking? Gregory says, pre-soak your woods to remove tannins or just through water changes. Carbon is really expensive to do the job. That's true. You can pre-soak your wood for as long as possible. Those real dark woods can release a lot of tannins, but I love the way it makes the tank look. It's natural. It's not going to harm anything. Um, if you do pick your wood up like from a lake or a river, I would definitely try to boil it or power wash it, bleach it, and then power wash it. But soaking it is the best with some hydrogen peroxide. If it's that big, you need like a kiddie pool filled with water. Just give it a soak for a few weeks. High end, I've never seen a Seachem hang on back filter. And I would go with Aquaclear and Fluval are both the same brand, so that doesn't make sense. I've never heard of an Azu. Mark, I have actually had a C4. I think they're basically just the renamed of the Aquaclear. When the company's just everything became one name, so it's like I just refer to it now as just the Aquaclear. And again, Harish, I would say that Fluval M series heaters, in my opinion, are the best heaters because I've used tons of them. They're chrome, they blend right into your aquarium, and I've never had one fail and like destroy a tank or anything. Like they're just solid, solid, solid. I mean, with any heater, you can't expect to just keep it in the tank for like 10 years and nothing's ever going to happen. But, they last a long time. Yeah, see, I mean, a lot of the aquarium brands that we see, well, I like this over this, and then you don't realize, that they're owned by the same company. They're just, you know, they're called this. They own X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. You like C, someone likes Z, somebody else likes Y, and this person like X, but they're all owned by one company who just owns all these other companies. Interesting enough. Like when you like this food, but some person likes that food, but they're both the exact same food with different labels on them that are sold by the same company. And I'm only privy to this because I own my own company now, so I know what's going on. The Fluval E heater. I know the M series. What does the E look like? Is it like a black heater or something, or like that nice like black honeycomb they have? I like the way that looks on my. I gotta say the Fluval Evo 12 13-point gallon is really an awesome design. Great looking tank, just beautiful setup. I love the way the inside is smaller now than the outside. I'm not having problems with the return pump at all. I can see that you maybe would want to get an upgrade eventually down the road, but I think it's pumping out enough flow. I also have a circulation pump in there as well, so I don't think whatever type of return pump you would put in there would benefit enough that you still wouldn't need like a tiny circulation pump. The first couple of days was really loud, and I was like, I definitely cannot deal with this, but it just went away. Um, just broke itself in, and I like it. I think it's just perfect. I think the design on the front chamber going into the second chamber is not good at all, but I have solved that problem by blocking it off, stacking the middle chamber with the sponge and some ChemiPure, and instead of a polyfilter pad on top of that, I put the polyfilter pad this way, and that blocks the flow coming from the first chamber and forces it, instead of going right over into the polyfilter pad, the polyfilter pad blocks it, so the flow keeps going down the first chamber, and then where it's supposed to go, underneath into the second chamber and up through everything, and then back down. The design on that is a little weird, in my opinion. My life will change a little bit once I use a CChem title. Hey, well, then I am calling my boy from CChem, and I'm going to say, this dude on one of my live streams, Harish, said that the CChem title is life-changing, and then you need to give me some to use on my tanks. And hopefully my boy Dave will give me some. Dilly dilly. We got 44 now. I was just about to call this at 10. Now it's 10:16. Got 44 people watching. Ask your questions, folks. Share the stream. Hit that thumbs up. Initially, tonight was going to be a quick tearing down the tank. Giant. You can see up this whole area right there. Blixa is gone. I kept a few for myself. That's right about there. But that whole area, excuse me, completely gone. All done. And I'm slowly backing until starting over fresh. New scape. Greg Jones agreed and Aqua. What do they agree on? No. How often do I clean my canister filters on your well-established planted freshwater tanks? Well, John, I clean the intakes and the outtakes that are in the tank roughly about every water change, just with a little pipe cleaner, scrub brush, toothbrush, whatever I got to get in there. Spray them down sometimes with hydrogen peroxide and Excel mix if there's any BB hanging out there. That's where it usually hangs out in my tanks. As far as the canister filter goes, I used to clean them once every 3 months. Now I wait until the flow coming out of the outtake just does not seem right. Now there's two things about this. So the flow coming out of the outtake, if it's strong and it's blowing the water around nicely, the water's going through it perfect. If it starts to slow down a little bit, I know things are gunked up, but that's not to say that things aren't in there prior, and it can be like a big, huge detritus and nitrate buildup, and the whole canister filter can be the cause of some algae in your tank if you're not cleaning them properly. When I do clean mine, I dump everything out of it. I keep the media, the biologicals in the water change water in the little trays. I completely clean all the sponges in tap water. There is some life on those sponges, but that's just clean all those sponges off with tap water. It doesn't matter. Get them as clean as you possibly can. And then when you put the sponges back in, you can shake the media baskets off in the tank water real quick. Just shake that, like the buildup and the detritus. But don't ever let the media baskets come out of the water. Some people like to aerate the water, even temp the water if they're doing like water changes are taking a long period of time. I don't bother with that. Maybe you go through a mini cycle, because that whole canister filter is life. And when you completely clean it out, keep the bacteria, your media that's holding the bacteria safe, clean everything else with tap water, RO water if you want to. It's not necessary in a freshwater tank. And then put everything back in, fill it back up with some tank water, because you don't want to like completely chlorinate that water with the tap water. So I fill it back up with the tank water, not like all the junk on the bottom, but just the nice tank water that's on top, because you're going to be filling up your tank anyway. Normally when you clean out your canister filter, you're doing a water change anyway. And then prime it, and then fill your tank back up, fire the canister back up. You might get like, the tank might be a little cloudy like this one is right now for a day or two as opposed to an hour or two, but it'll all go away. You won't have killed your bacteria, and your flow will be just the same. It'll be perfect. These canister filters have huge pumps in them. They push out the water, and you're good. And as long as you continue to clean your intake, that little, the part that sucks all the stuff in, plants get stuck around it, dirt gets stuck in there. When you do your water change, clean those parts out. That's your like initial defense. And then clean your canister filter, I don't know, every 6 to 8 months now, really. Like I would probably, I've been going like 6 to 8 months, easy. It's not a pain in the ass to do. It's just like, if things are running, just leave them be. If you start to notice some unwanted algae, it might be time to clean that canister filter and take action, as opposed to just like hope to see it improve. If you have algae, something's wrong. Take action quickly before it gets out of hand. Am I going to, oh, I don't even know who Greg's talking to at this point. I fell off on the chat with that long rant dressing. What's the best thing to do with the cold weather to keep your tank warm? Is it safe to turn up the heater a few extra degrees? Your heater will work to keep that tank warm. It'll just work harder. It'll always be going on. At night, when the lights are out, you can always like throw like a nice bedspread, or like moving blanket, or like those real heavy duty blankets that if you have them lying around the house that you don't use to like, for any of the above, throw that over at night. Make sure this, air can still get to the tank. Don't completely smother it, but that can trap a lot of heat in. Use an oversized heater for your tank. That helps as well. Greg says insulate the room. Correct. Like well, 2 out of my 3 tanks are in my basement, and it's as insulated as it's going to get at this point. And my heaters on those 2 tanks probably run like nonstop, constantly. Carpet padding as well. Yep. Yep. I love the Fluval canisters. 406s I've ran for a lot of years. I know people have had problems, but I've never had a problem with those. Would I recommend the Evo 12 for someone new to reef tanks? Tough question. I started off with the 10. I went to a 40. I am hoping to go bigger. It's just, the bigger you go, the more money it is, depending on if you want to stock it with corals. And taking care of salt water tanks can be expensive, especially once you get into it. It's pretty addicting. But I think the Evo 12 would be a good beginner tank. If you can go bigger, like if this is going to be your first saltwater tank, but you can do a 40 breeder, or let's say even a 75 gallon, I'd skip the 65 gallon, 55 gallon. But if you can do a 40 gallon breeder or a 75 gallon to start, if you have the room, I would go with that. But if you don't have the room, I still think the Evo 12 is perfect for anybody. It's a beautiful tank, very easy to maintain, very easy to modify and run how you want it to run. Still big enough that you can put a circulation pump in it and not notice it. It's got 3 chambers where you can hide all your media and your heater. And you really, if you want a circulation pump, that's the only thing you're going to see in the tank, besides your escape and your sand or whatever you're doing in your corals. You can take the cover off and hook up lights. You can suspend lights. You can leave the cover on. It's a great tank overall. I would recommend it for sure. Have I ever used Florix XL on a Nano 7.5 planted? Does it help? Yeah, I did. I had the Fluval Flora. I think that was 7.9 gallons. I used to dose XL, especially when I got BBA in that tank too. I had bad luck. Brian is in Massachusetts too. Did you lose power? Yes, I did lose power. So did Greg. Yeah, I did the same thing. I have a battery powered air pump that I tossed inside the tank and then wrapped the tanks in moving blankets. Try to trap any heat. The second I knew we lost power, not the second we actually did lose power, but the second I knew we lost power, start the fire, wood stove immediately, get the house warmed up, go down, wrap all the fish tanks, and drop a air stone with a battery powered air pump. Bass Pro Shops, Walmart, they have them. One battery will last like at least 12 hours plus. Because I have them in my bait buckets and I run them all day when I'm ice fishing. So anyway, they lasted, and the tanks did get down real low. It's important to oxygenate the water, but the tanks got into the high 50s, and especially for coral reef tanks, that is not good. My corals are still sulking right now. A lot of them are right back to normal, but a couple of them are just still like, they're not dead, but they don't look good. Just can't get that low. But that's the best you can do unless you go get a generator, and then the generator can run your tanks. That's biased. I don't know if he's talking to me or one of the messages. Always look to save money. Yeah, you gotta always look to save money. Nope, I've never owned a Phoenix. Sorry. How do you manage the light timer with the Evo since the light is touch sensitive? I took my hood and I never even put the light or the hood on top of my Evo. I had already had a suspended LED light that I'd been using on a previous 10-gallon that I used, as well as now I use Kessel, sponsored the A80 Tuna Blue, sponsored by Kessel, that I've been trying out for 2 weeks now. I have that hooked up right now. So I never did use the hood nor the light that it came with. Plants are dying in my 38. I put 3 caps of plant supplements in with each water change and iron supplements. What can I do? I think that's way too many. Stephanus de Jaeger. I don't know why your plants are dying just from what you're telling me. Is your water temperature the right? Is it like 78 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit? Do you have sufficient enough light? The other plants that you're growing, do they even need iron and supplements? Can they rely on just like a normal, let's say like just like a normal generic root tab, I guess you could say? Like, what plants are you growing? I mean, there's so many things. I don't know. I don't know why your plants are dying. Is your water way too hard for the plants you're growing? Is it way too soft? There's so many things. So many variables of why your plants are dying. You just need to figure out, you need to start one by one. I do get a lot of comments on my videos about, similar to that comment is, I have my lights on for 8 hours. I have a hang on back filter and my plants are dying. Why are my plants dying? I don't know. I can only begin to suspect why, but I can't tell you exactly why unless I know all the variables. No, That's why you're here. Ask questions, smart. I love the Evo myself. Very, very cool. What's up, Zach's Tanks Crazy Aquarium guy? Zach's in the house. Harry's still asking questions. Yep, no problem, Brian. Yeah, I was getting nervous. It was getting. Oh, there's Hucky Butts. It was getting close to, I don't know, 16 hours maybe, and Greg lost power for like 2 days, so he must have been geeking out. But he has turtles, and you know they should be able to survive temperature drops. And most of his fish should be okay with the temperature drop. I wasn't even worried about my freshwater tank. I knew that would be completely fine. But my corals were just looking absolutely awful. And, I don't have a generator power to those tanks, so that's my fault for not being prepared, knowing that you can lose power. I've never lost power for more than 10 or 12 hours. Well, I shouldn't say that. I haven't lost power for more than 1 day during the winter time, but we did. So I'll have to prepare better next time. They all survived. There's a few sulkers. I think I'm going to lose my frog spawn in the 40. That has seemed to suffer the most. You added an extra filter to a cycled tank. If I take it out for another one, will it crash my cycled tank? So if you added an extra filter, that must be your second filter. So the first filter will probably have plenty of bacteria on it. I know that's how a lot of people cycle their tank, is they put an extra filter on an established tank, and then so when they're ready to get starting on a new tank, they just drop that already established filter and put it right on the new tank, fill it with water, add fish right away. Good to go. Tiny, maybe tiny cycle, like a little mini cycle, but that can work. A lot of people do take a sponge from that canister filter and drop it right in a new tank, and all that ammonia and crap from that sponge gets right to the media, and it's a quick cycle just like that. There's a lot of ways to cycle your tank, like really, really quick. No problem. Cleaning water. Wisteria, water sprite, those big floating plants, of big nitrate busters. As far as polishing water, I mean, there's really not many plants that are going to polish the water in the water column. Mosses do trap a lot of like debris and stuff floating around, but it's still trapped there. It's still going to not be good for your tank. Huckleberry is not happy with this live stream. I can tell you that right now. And with that, folks, I'm going to call this live stream. Thank you for everybody for stopping by. I just wanted to go over the tank real quick. Didn't want to make this a big, long, super 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 hour live stream, but I did want to come on real quick and show you guys a little update on the 40-gallon planted tank and future plans. So thank you for everybody for coming on, and I will see you on the next live stream. I'm out.